welcome to my views and news from protests to clashes. Security situation in the Amhara region is deteriorating. We have just now received reports from Wollo where fighting is ongoing between Fano fighters and Ethiopian army. Is Amhara Special Force part of this escalation or not? Which roads are blocked? Where in Wollo is this fighting ongoing? And how big is this confrontation between Fano and Ethiopian army? Secondly, Amhara Regional President Yilkal Kefale just an hour ago released a new message trying to take people into confidence. No final decision has been made to disband Amhara Special Force, he said. What did he mean? Because PM Abiy this morning said that decision had been made and decision will be implemented no matter what the cost is. Firstly, viewers, fighting clashes are ongoing between a Fano faction and Ethiopian army. This Fano faction is the most organized Fano faction in Amhara region. Last year, when there was unilateral humanitarian ceasefire announced by Ethiopian government, after that Ethiopian government launched an operation against Fano factions in Amhara region. And mainly Gajam Fano factions were dismantled. Their commanders had to flee for their lives. Minakasi's house, Masrisha's house were raided. Gondar Fanos were also arrested, detained. East Amhara Fano, Wollo Fano was not dismantled. Mere Vodajo is the commander of this Fano. And he started working in collaboration with Ethiopian National Defense Force. So he was working, his Fano faction was working under ENDF. That is why this Fano faction was not dismantled, because this Fano faction was needed for new round of war between Tigray and Ethiopian federal government. And we saw that in August, when third round of fighting started between Tigray forces and Ethiopian federal forces. East Amhara Fano faction supported Ethiopian National Defense Force. On Wollo front, East Amhara Fano and Amhara Special Force both jointly fought. They fought on front lines. ENDF was here too on this front, but mainly East Amhara Fano of Mere Vodajo and Amhara Special Force, they led the offensives. And Tigray fighters had to retreat from close to Waldia, Kobo, Alamata, Kora. You saw that. So East Amhara Fano is the most organized faction out of all Fano factions. And fighting is now ongoing between East Amhara Fano faction and Ethiopian army in Kobo. Mere Vodajo a few hours ago said in a message that their camp had been surrounded by Ethiopian army. Ethiopian army was trying to arrest Fano fighters. And then it started. Fighting erupted. Fano claims that Ethiopian army is using heavy weapons. Zu-23-2 and artillery pieces are being used to fire at Fano camps, Fano fighters. And it is being reported that Fano fighters are trying to block Debre Tabor to Waldia Road, Debre Tabor to Kobo Road. Mainly it's Debre Tabor to Waldia, but if from Debre Tabor you want to reach Kobo, you can reach through Waldia. You can travel through Waldia towards Kobo, or there are some small roads which can be used to reach Kobo from Debre Tabor. Mere Vodajo has been heard saying that Ethiopian army is launching offensive on Fano from Debre Tabor line. That is why this line will be closed. So either Vuldia to Debre Tabor road is going to be closed, or small roads linking Kobo with Vuldia to Debre Tabor roads will be closed. People from the area have confirmed. They say that gunshots can be heard in and near Kobo. Though it's difficult to say what is situation on the ground. Casualties are being reported on both sides. But Ethiopian government is silent, no statement. Fano supporters are sharing details of how many killed, captured. We don't want to share their numbers. But only confirmation is that there is now direct confrontation between Fano fighters and Ethiopian army in and near Kobo. Most of fighting is around Kobo, not inside Kobo. And Amhara Special Force, is it part of this fighting? Because all this conflict in Amhara region is to support Amhara Special Force. Reportedly, Amhara Special Force is not part of this escalation. It is not deployed on this front. So maybe Ethiopian army is trying to divide Amhara Special Force and Fano. It has launched an operation to disarm Fano, to disconnect Fano and Amhara Special Force. So far, East Amhara Fano faction is fighting. No considerable success by Ethiopian army in dismantling East Amhara Fano. Fighting is now spreading towards Kobo. We have seen tensions on this front. Ethiopian army was stopped in Kobo. It was stopped in Voldia. In Marsa, road was blocked. North Volo is becoming a difficult territory for Ethiopian army to operate because of massive presence of East Amhara Fano in this area. We'll try to update in coming videos, viewers. Secondly, Amhara Regional President Yilkal Kifale today tried to reassure the people of Amhara region that operation which is being portrayed as the one to dismantle Amhara Special Force is basically a restructuring of Amhara Special Force. He released a message a few minutes, an hour ago, I think. Second message from Amhara government. First was around 24 hours ago. This is second message from Amhara government. Yilkal Kifale says that no final decision has been made to disband or dismantle Amhara Special Force. It's very interesting. It means Amhara government is changing its position. What did PM Abiy say this morning? He said, decision has been made. All regional special forces will become part of federal police, Ethiopian army, regional police, regional anti-riot police. Decision will be implemented no matter what the cost is. This is what PM is saying. Yilkal says no final decision has been made. Rather, decision is subject to agreement between federal government and Amhara regional government. Though he said that all regional special forces are being restructured. He claimed there is information gap. People are being misled. False information is being shared. That is why people are protesting. Amhara Special Force members are misled. They are being misguided. People in Amhara are being misguided. Question is, who is misguiding them? Amhara government is the government. Yilkal Kifale is the head of the government. Who is misguiding people in Amhara who are protesting in thousands? We saw big protests in Amhara today, in today's protests in Gondar, in yesterday's protests in Gajam. There were thousands. Who is misguiding them? Ethiopian government says people are misguided. Amhara government says the same as well. Who is misguiding them? This time, no blame on TPLF. If you remember, a few months ago, whatever happened bad in Ethiopia was blamed on TPLF. Now, no one is blaming TPLF. At least TPLF has now its own issues to see in Tigray. Now, problems are internal. Problems are between Amhara and federal government. Yilkal trying to assure the people that he's with the people, that people's rights will be protected. There is no threat to the Amhara people, but people are not listening. Why? Because government's explanation is not convincing. Parallel reorganization or disarmament of regional forces in Somali region or Oromia is not ongoing. No one is reporting from there. And we know that nothing is happening there. That is why people in Amhara are angry. That why is that only Amhara special force is being targeted? So their concerns are genuine. What is needed is dialogue between federal government and Amhara government, Amhara disgruntled elements, and there these concerns should be addressed. Otherwise, the two sides are on the collision course, it seems. Think, watch.